All right, YouTube, what is going on? This is a very different video for you. The reason I'm doing this video is just because I actually did a very similar one for clients, just to walk them through my journey. I think it's really important as a coach to walk the walk, talk the talk, and honestly, like when it comes to bodybuilding and body transformation, I fucking live and breathe this shit, man. Like, I love this stuff beyond anything. So, I want to take you through the last 2 years of my physique journey, my personal life, everything like that. And I thought this would just be a good way of doing that. I'm not going to edit this. I'm literally going to ramble. I'm going to stumble on my words. I'm going to do all these different things. But I just want to give you an insight to the last 2 years of honestly the most progression I've ever made with my physique. And truly, like, just me as Brandon, me as a man, me as a coach, me as now a fiance and a son, all these different things in my life, right? All the different labels of who I am. So, um, in 2024, that was the last time I competed. Me and Steph, now my fiance, competed in back-to-back shows. So we flew to Spain. We competed in Spain. Then we literally had 5 days. We flew to Poland. We competed in Poland, and then we had another five days later we competed in Romania. And this was just the most amazing time period of my life. Number one, this was the first time that we dieted together. So we both did our comp preps together. Steph is an IFBB bikini pro, so the plan was for these shows is that naturally we looked at the calendar and I would compete on the Saturday and Steph would compete on the Sunday. Turns out the calendar didn't work in our favor so much. So in Spain and Poland, we actually competed on the same day, which had its own struggles and its own trickiness involved. But luckily in Romania, I competed on the Saturday, Steph competed on the Sunday. So it was a nice way to kind of finish it off. But the prep itself was amazing. If anyone has been in a prep or a dieting phase, you will know how locked in, how focused you get. But this has just allowed our relationship to go to that next level. We saw each other at our worst, at our best, and we were just there to support each other the whole time. So this was just an amazing little experience. So there's just a couple of a couple of pictures of us in Spain. Um, you've probably seen these pictures on my Instagram and Poland, Romania. If you go onto my YouTube channel, I've actually the vlogs from each of those shows are there, so you can go and watch those. Um, but yeah, this is pretty much just registering for Spain, some Spain pictures, and food because life is about food, right? Let me get that food picture up. There you go. That literally just sums up peak week food, loading in those carbs. So on this little document here, I've actually put together the timeline of coming off stage in 2024 and going into that improvement phase. So what I'll do with you here is I'll actually just show up my pictures from Spain as well. I think they are here. Nope, that's the current one that's already open. Let's do this one. Nope, that's the one I'm going to show you. So let's do this one. Cool. Hopefully I didn't close that down fully, which I think I did, but I'll have to reopen it for you. So these are some stage shots from Spain. Um, Obviously my height has not changed. I am in classic physique, so my weight cap as an amateur is, I want to say it's like 94 kilos. In Spain, in these pictures here, I was actually 81. So I had plenty of room to fill my weight cap, and I was stood next to guys that were, safe to say, they were pretty fucking big dudes. But I brought an incredible physique, the best I've ever brought, and I brought very good conditioning, and I'm super happy with the package that I brought to the stage. I was super, super proud of this. It's the leanest, it's the best I've ever been in my entire life. I'm just on the right here, and even from a posing aspect, I think I posed the best out of all these guys as well. So, and I'm on the left here. So honestly, I was just super, super proud, and each one of my shows I looked a little bit better. Obviously, there's not much you can really manipulate from week to week, but I did gain a little bit of weight, a little bit more fullness in each of these shows. So it literally worked out a kilo per week. So it was 81 in Spain, 82 in Poland, and roughly 83 in Romania. So coming off stage, it was very clear that me and Cam, my coach, we had to kind of bring up the areas that were lagging in a sense. You can see here my legs are quite dominant. I've got very kind of big legs, and you can see this from the side leg detail. We needed a lot more kind of, in a sense for me, it was a lot more upper body more than anything else. My legs will naturally kind of just continue to slowly build, but I kind of need to take my leg development was here. My upper body was here. I just needed to bring my upper body to here so that they could kind of grow together. So that's what we did in last year, in 2025. So coming off stage in November 2024, I was more fired up. I was more fucking hungrier than ever. So what I did was I was locked in straight away, went into that post-show recovery phase. I'm not going to kind of literally just read what's here. You can kind of read through that. The idea of a reverse phase is to make sure that, number one, you don't gain body fat too quickly. You get health markers up to a very good position. You get healthy when you're in this show condition. Body fat's extremely low. I'm obviously assisted, so there's a lot of PEDs in the situation and high dosaging, if you want to call it high dosaging, more than there would be in the off season. So the most important thing post show is to get healthy, reduce inflammation, to reduce stress, to reduce all these different things, just to get you healthy again. Just slowly increasing that food again, improving hormone balance, blood markers. My digestion has always been good because it's something you should always fucking focus on. So that phase lasted around 5 to 8 weeks. I got my bloods done. Bloods were in a good position, which then allowed us to go into all of 2025, which was that growing phase. And with this growing phase, this is where it all changed for me. A growing phase is very simplistic. It's very fucking boring. You need to learn to be boring and just go into the gym and just do hard shit every day. It is literally about applying progression and progressive overload every single session, every single week. There is no... A growing phase is very simple. You eat food, you train harder, you get better at those two things, better and better and better, right? You increase the food over time, so performance and food kind of correlate like this, so that you don't gain crazy amounts of body fat. If you just straight away push the food up, then naturally it's going to take a while for performance to get up there, but you've gained so much body fat where that body fat then can become detrimental to actually lean muscle growth as well. So over time, food, training, performance just titrated up nice and slowly over that year. But the biggest thing over the last year to 18 months of growing, what I've learned is to simply... I've always trained hard. Of course, my training intensities naturally got better over time, but I've learned to train better, with better accuracy and better intent. Every single rep and set I do now has full tension on the muscle. I have better connection to that muscle. I am able to get better stretches, better contractions, and I'm able to apply progressive overloads, not just from weights and reps, but from literally the accuracy that I'm hitting that muscle now, the angle that I'm hitting it. And that's honestly been the biggest game changer for me. And it's showing as of now, so we'll get to that very soon, and it is really showing in my physique and my performance, even to this day, sitting at 7 weeks out, or just below 7 weeks out from my 2026 shows. So that's one big area, but many people have probably heard me ramble about this on my Instagram a lot over the last few weeks. Over the last 18 months, I've improved my environment. We've moved house, we've moved gyms, and more so just everything from... When we talk about environment, we talk about everything from friendships, what you consume from content, from social media, all these different things. I've become more at peace. And one of those biggest peace points was actually having my old Instagram technically deleted. Not by my control, but it actually got deleted, and it was very refreshing. So the last 18 months, where the progress has come from is my environmental. And that comes down to everything from sleep, stress management, my daily routine has always been kind of the same, but just building a superior environment and looking through, even if I want you to go away and actually do this yourself, like audit your environment. Like, and when we say environment, I want you to look at who is the last 5 people you message, who do you follow on social media, what is the news channels that pop up on your feed, what is the algorithm saying on your, like, on your social media, what is the gym like that you train at, who are the 5 people closest to you that you send text messages to, all these different things. If those do not bring value to your life, your environment needs to change, and you need to make sure that you're auditing your environment on a regular basis. And I cannot stress this enough. So that's kind of been the biggest game changer in what's allowed me to take my physique to a completely different level now. And along with that, it has allowed me then just to put, in a sense, because I have more energy, so I've been able to put that into never missing a meal. I've allowed that to make sure that my hydration is in point, my sleep is improving, my stress is manageable, that I control my stress a lot more. And obviously, like I said, over the year, my training performance, my accuracy, my intent, probably my love for bodybuilding has just kept growing and kept scaling. So that is everything in a nutshell, guys, there. So let's get rid of these ones and let me load up. Sorry, I closed it down for you. Where we are as of now. So, boom, boom, boom. Let me just make this a little bit smaller for you. The image on the left, so you see my left shot here. This is my left. Boom, boom, boom. Obviously, we're seeing some pretty cool changes, right? The left was the end of my growing phase. So from 2024, where you saw me on stage, and then obviously you've seen me accumulate this body fat over 18 months, and that is where we sat at. So this image on the left is the end of that growing phase. So it's the end of building the muscle. It's the end of that growing phase. It is the end point and the start point of where we're starting this fat loss phase. One thing when it comes to this, you have to make the sacrifice, and the psychological sacrifice is that body fat is required. Body fat is a fucking must when it comes to building muscle tissue. And to be honest, if I look at these images, I'm not really that fat, like compared to the average Joe, right? So it's body fat for sure, but it's not that bad. It's just, you have to go through anything in life to make sacrifices. In order for me to be at the position I'm at now, with the improvements that I have now, that sacrifice of gaining that body fat was 100% required and 100% needed. If I just stayed lean, I would nowhere near be at the level of muscle maturity and the level of muscle mass where I'd be at now. So it's just part of that acceptance. And over that year, it was great because obviously you're not dieting, right? So it was eating out twice a week. It was going to some social events, going to weddings, going on holidays, and all this sort of stuff, right? And still progressing throughout that time period. So when we got to number 3 here, January of this year, January of 2026, I sat down, spoke to my coach, and we got the calendar for the shows of this year. So we looked at the shows, we put a plan in place, but I did have a trip to Australia planned. So this is just down here. So I had a trip to Australia planned that we go to once or twice a year because Steph is from Australia and we have quite a bit of work in Australia to see clients and things like that. So that was in the April, May time. And the shows that I had picked originally were in August, September. So this left me with coming back from Australia and doing a 15-week prep, which personally I'm not a fan of because I like the longer dieting phases, and I coach everyone to have longer dieting phases, 16 weeks plus. And this is purely down to the dieting phase doesn't need to be as harsh. It doesn't need to be extreme. You're going to keep muscle at the end of the day. And when I talk about extreme, it means cardio would be very high. Food would have to get pushed quite low. Again, PEDs. If the athlete or myself is assisted, then the PEDs might have to be introduced quite aggressively on the grand scheme of things to really just strip away at that body fat. So I'm not a huge fan of short preps. I'd always like those longer ones, and I just enjoy the process a lot more. So with that, we decided to do a bit of a pre-prep tidy up phase. And this is the first time I've ever done this. So this whole year of 2026, I will technically be dieting. But it was the best thing I've ever done. It allowed me from January to like that April, May, before we went away, it allowed me to strip off some body fat, but really slow, really relaxed. I think I was doing like maybe 4 or 5 times a week of cardio for 20 minutes. But every Saturday night I was having pizza with Steph. Like we went out for Lebanese food. We eat the same food because gut health is everything. But Lebanese food, sushi, or pizza. Those are our go-to meals when we want to go out and have our Saturday night date nights and things like that. So it allowed me to do that every single week. And naturally, I was able to take my body fat from my peak off season on the left, 111 kilos, and I was able to bring it down to 100 kilos, which is pretty much half. Like when I sit here now from my 2024 prep, I pulled off 20 kilos of body fat to get in stage condition. So technically, from 111 to 100, I've actually pulled off half the body fat required in order to get on stage this year. And it's kind of looking that way right now. And the other benefit of doing this kind of longer fat loss phase is I've technically been able to stay in that kind of slight deficit, which has allowed me to continue to build muscle this year. Instead of like a 15-week prep where food would get pulled down quite low, cardio very high, like the muscle building phase would have been in a sense stopped, and it would be more of maintenance of keeping the muscle mass. But the benefit of really stretching this year out from a fat loss aspect has been I've been able to improve in the gym consistently, even to this day, as just under 7 weeks out. My training performance is still getting better, which is a sign that I'm still able to build muscle. So we've allowed now this year growing phase, and we've almost turned this into potentially a 2 year growing phase because of extending this fat loss phase and making it more relaxed, making it more fun, more enjoyable. So that is what we did from January to April. We did that kind of pre-prep tidy up phase. Went to Australia, a little bit leaner, which is always nice for the Australia beaches. And my goal for every time I go to Australia is I come completely off PEDs. I don't take any assistance. That time period it's actually just a nice time to refreshen up. Like psychologically, like I'm very much on or off. Like if I go on holiday, I'm on holiday, bro. Like we train in Australia because we were there for 3 or 4 weeks and all our friends, and that's what we're there to do, right? I love training. But in the training, I was experimenting with some new movements, new training techniques, just experimenting to see what felt right and what feels good for me, really. Just using a bit of a learning opportunity and just maintain the muscle mass that I had, and just to keep me in a daily routine, to be honest. And then once I came back from Australia, that is when prep was starting officially, but starting prep at a much greater start point. So starting prep 10, 11 kilos lighter, ready to fucking go to really push into this 15-week prep. So super excited to do that. I got my bloods done just to make sure everything was in a good place to then reintroduce the PEDs and then start that pushing process to pull the food down a little bit, drive up expenditure. Training doesn't ever fucking change. I've had the same training split now since coming off stage in 2024. So that has always been in place. I needed to bring up my arms, my posterior chain. So I need to bring up my upper body in a nutshell. So my training split was arms and push, legs, arms and pull, rest, calves, arms and push, and then back and hamstrings. So 5 days a week, 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off, repeat. So yeah, let me get my breath back before I push on for the rest of this. So prep starts. Prep is that time where it's not about doing anything fancy, to be honest. Like all you do is you just get more accurate. That's all it is. You decrease the food a little bit and you increase some cardio. That's pretty much all you do. But all that happens is just the accuracy and the intent you do those things is slightly more accurate. So say, for example, in that kind of growing phase, I was tracking food at like 90, 90%. Now it just comes into I track food 100%. Not a step gets missed. Not an ounce of posing gets missed. Like all these different variables now get introduced. Abs, maybe I take that from training 3 times a week and I take that up to 4 or 5 times a week. It's not about doing more, it's just simply about doing it better with more accuracy and more intent. That's all it is. And then over the weeks, we drop deeper into the deficit. We start to just pull away at more body fat, but your training performance in the gym is always going to be your biggest fat burner. And honestly, that is where I've seen what I learned over that last year of just learning to train better with more accuracy and more intent. Fuck me, it is showing. It is completely showing in my progress because I have been able to use my weight training as just the biggest fat loss and the biggest expenditure. And this is why I drill on about training, and training performance is so underrated. Like it's so underrated. Everyone goes in thinking about sleep and food and all these different things. I'm like, yeah, they're really important, but how you fucking train is everything. So that has been a huge aspect. And along like the few variables that I that don't change all year round should always be steps. You should always be moving, hydration, electrolytes, your sleep quality, your gut health. Those should never change regardless of what phase you're in. You always need to prioritize those because that's just about being a healthy fucking human being at the end of the day. Whew. So guys, I won't take too much of your time, but I'll give you a couple more minutes of just sitting where we're at now. So we are now sitting at just under 7 weeks out from prep. So this morning I was actually sitting at, let's just check how much my scale weight was, 92.6. Over the last 4 weeks, I've been having refeed weekends where I've been having pizza on a Saturday night. I cannot believe I'm doing that. Again, there's vlogs up about that. I've been doing refeeds where I've having off-plan meals at this amount of time period out. It's just absolutely wild, this prep. It's absolutely wild. And just, again, I put this all down to having a great environment and being very much at peace. I'm very so grateful for where I'm at, to be honest. And I couldn't be happier. So as of just under 7 weeks out now, the conditions really starting to come through. And this is the progress you've seen from January to now. And not much scale weight difference. This is well, I guess it is. Sorry. So this is, I was thinking this is from 100 kilos. It's not. So this is from 111 kilos off season to 92, 93 kilos difference. And you can even see just the improvements, like the illusion of being leaner. It always looks like you're bigger. I believe I actually am because of how much my training and performance and my environment has changed around me. Um, Absolutely incredible, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of what me, my coach, and the people in my environment are allowing me to do. In other words, like Steph, my fiance, just bodybuilding. It's a solo thing. I go into the gym, I train alone, I eat alone, I do all these things alone, right? But the team around me, so my coach, my mom, Steph, my fiance, Cam, all these different things they're part of that environment. They're part of me, what's allowed me to be a better coach, to be a better athlete, to be a better man every single fucking day, right? So that is the foundation of what we're seeing here in this, what I'm proud to call a phenomenal transformation. And we still have 7 weeks to make it even better before we step on stage in America, which I just can't believe. Man, it's fucking wild. So yeah, guys, there's just a bit of a timeline. There's some core principles that I believe in all year round, 24/7. Muscle is built in the off season. It's built in this phase. This is where muscle is built. It's not built in this phase. It's built here, where you're uncomfortable. You're doing hard things every day. You're delaying gratification. This is where the muscle is built. Accuracy beats intensity. I'd like to say they're both 100%. Probably just my poor wording there. Sleep. Don't underestimate it, guys. I had insomnia for a long time, and I get a couple of bad night sleeps now, and sleep is everything. lock in your evening and morning routines and cherish your evening morning routines. Take pride in your sleep because it will completely change your physique, your life, your mental state of mind, everything. Stress management, I talk to clients on this on a personal level all the time. Stress, I kind of see as two options. We have stress that we can't control, the stress that we can control. If we can control this stress, let's do so. Gut health, we should always prioritize our digestion and our gut health. It is a non-negotiable. Making sure that we are consuming foods that digest well, that give us micronutrient balance, that give us macronutrient balance, and vice versa, the calories, protein that we need in order to achieve our goals and achieve being a healthy human being. Cardio and steps, again, they are a tool for what we need from fat loss, from gut health, from psychological aspects, all these different things. Hydration, non-negotiable. If we are 60-70% water, you need to make sure you're hydrated all the time, especially if you want to build muscle and drop body fat. Blood work, if you are not taking assistance, you're not assisted, if you're not taking PEDs, you should be, I personally still think you should get your blood work done every 6 months. If you're assisted, I think you should be getting it done every 3 months. Unless you want, my personal opinion, unless you want to get on stage, PEDs are not worth it unless medically needed. So, for example, if some males need TRT therapy, then 100% needed. But unless you want to get on stage, you don't fucking need any form of assistance. Like every single client that I've got into photo shoot condition and on stage has been completely natural. So take that consideration when you look at my results. And the final one, the greatest physiques, the greatest people are built through patience, consistent relentlessness, discipline, patience, and just having the right environment around them, guys. So yeah, that's everything. It's quite a long one. It's a 30-minute ramble, but I hope this gives you a bit of a direction. Over the next 7 weeks, I will keep you posted. You'll see a weekly vlog from me about different topics, but I hope this gives you a bit of an insight into the last 2 years of my progression. It's not fancy, it's not sexy. It's just about, again, being patient, delaying gratification, doing hard shit on a day-to-day basis, doing the things you know you should do, but you're not necessarily doing. The simple things. Being organized, planning ahead of schedule, be relentless, be consistent, be disciplined, and you'll go a very long way. Trust me. Really do trust me on this one because I'm living it, and I've coached it for a decade now. So guys, any questions on this, let me know, and I'd love to hear your feedback. So drop them in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next one.